Hi, I'm Lynne Turner-Liro from Bernina World of Sewing, and I am glad to have you all join us, although I really do wish I could see your faces. Just wanted to let you know that I'm really grateful to Sona because she's done a great job of making us all safe while she's opening the store. We are cleaning thoroughly throughout the day. We have dividers and markers to keep us socially distant. We have, let's see, Carol, what else do we have? We have a policy with masks all the time. And when you come into the store, we have hand sanitizer and new gloves for you to put on. So if you can put on your new gloves, you're welcome to wander through the store. And we'd really like to have you come join us. This is the July quilt along. And I think one of the biggest challenges with this block is trying to figure out that cutting diagram. So I've tried to simplify it for you a little bit. I know it's hard to read the numbers, but they are on the pattern that you're downloading. So if you want to pause this and take a picture of me, please go ahead and do that, and then you can refer to it as you're cutting. This is the charcoal fabric. Please notice that if you were just to cut all across here, you would end up cutting into this 2.5 inch square and not have enough fabric at the end. That becomes even more of an issue with some of the other colors. So what we need to do is cut along this line here, which you see I've done here. And then we're going to cut down here. We don't want to cut all the way across, we want to cut down here and separate those two. Then we can go ahead and cut there and cut this square out. Okay, so that should help you to get all your pieces in. For the blue fabric, this one's a little bit simple, but it does have one tricky thing. You have two 10.5 inch long squares there, but one of them is 3 inches wide, the other is 2.5 inches wide. So we have to be really careful here to make sure that that when you cut across here, you don't, you make sure that you've got the 2.5 and the 3 inches. And then after you cut that line, over here it will be easy for you to cut these two pieces. On the yellow block, this one's pretty easy. It just cuts straight across and then cut down your 5 inch squares. The orange one, again, we have to pay attention and not just start cutting all the way across. We're going to cut down this line here, which separates these 4 3 3/4 inch squares, and then we can do the 5.5 and the 3.5 right there. Over here, this is your background fabric. It may be white, it may not be white, depending on what your choices were. This one was a little bit tricky too. So the first cup that we're going to make is this one that goes all the way across. And then we're going to come down to the bottom of those squares and cut this one, which goes all the way across there. And then we can subcut there. Make sure you cut down here before you cut that. And the same thing here. Cut down here before you cut that. And here, you want to cut down here before you cut those. Okay? Now, the other thing that I've done here, and another reason why you might want to kind of take screenshots of this, is sometimes it's hard to figure out, we've got 2 blocks that we're working on. Which pieces go where? Okay? So what I've done is the Krakatoa Night block is A, and the Lambola Spice box is B. So this is Krakatoa, and this is Lambola. Okay? So this is your A block, this is your B block. These are marked A and B. I'm sure it's kind of hard to see what that on the video. Maybe we can arrange to send that out to you also. Okay, now let's go to the July block. Krakatoa Nights looks a lot more complicated than it really is. It is really just a bunch of 4 patches and then some star points. Okay? So if we break it down, these are all just 4 patches, okay? So remember that it's going to be important to trim to make sure that after you cut and sew your 4 patch, that you're going to get the right size. You are going to trim these down to 4 inches. using your handy dandy Tucker trimmer. And you've all had a chance to use these in other months, so I'm not going to go into how to use those now. So this center block, I recommend doing it as 4 patches, okay? You're in the rhythm of doing 4 patches, keep it going. Remember that you want to nest your seams, okay? When you press your seams around, you kind of do that little squishy and open them up the other way and get your nesting. This keeps your block nice and flat. You don't end up, we would have bumps all over the place if we didn't do that. We don't want bumps. Now, once we get that done, we're going to do the star points. The star points are here. One of the key things, I'm sorry, I shouldn't talk to the wall. One of the key things with the star point is getting that orientation right so that you really do get them in the right direction. There's another tricky part to these star points. One is, what it is, you have to remember to cut on that to sew on that short side. If you end up trying to sew the long sides together or something, you're going to end up with a half square triangle, and that's not what you want. You want these nice little pieces here. The other thing that you need to remember is that you want to, as you're doing them, with the point down, always keep the white square on the right, okay? And then we're going to put those up together, and again, you're going to trim to the 4 inches. Does anybody see the uh-oh in my block? There is an uh-oh here. Speaking of orientation, this one is twisted. You're supposed to see that black checkboard all the way through. So hopefully you can catch it before you're done the way I did. This is the Lamble Spice block, and this is our other block for the day. Again, it's much more simple than it looks. What you have are these, actually, again, they're 4 patches. They don't look like it, but they are 4 patches. And then we have sashing in the middle of it. You don't think of having sashing in the middle of your block, but you do here. So we're going to do these 4 patches around the side. I prefer to do them as 2 and 2, and then stitch those together. Again, make sure your orientation is correct. When you're doing the sashing, as you would do with sashing on a quilt, you're going to make one side go all the way across, and then put these other pieces on to the side blocks, and then sew the whole thing together. Okay? I don't hear any questions. I must have done great. So thank you very much. The video will be up for about 2 weeks, and so you can keep going, refer back to it, but you want to get it done, so get to work. Thanks. Nice to see you.